What if I told you that you can grow a massive haul of potatoes right here in Florida's Zone 9? Yeah, you heard that right. Potatoes that thrive up north can absolutely flourish in our subtropical climate as long as you know the right tricks. In the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to get a bumper crop of spuds, even when the calendar says we should be growing tomatoes and peppers instead. Here's the thing about potatoes in our climate. Timing is everything. Plant them at the wrong time and you'll watch your vines grow beautifully while producing exactly 0 tubers underground. But nail that planting window, choose the right varieties, and use a few Zone 9 specific techniques. You'll be harvesting buckets of homegrown potatoes before summer even arrives. Let me show you how it's done. When to plant. The Valentine's Day rule. Mark your calendar for February 14th because that's your potato planting day. And no, I'm not being romantic about gardening, though I do love a good potato harvest. Valentine's Day is perfectly positioned in our growing season. By mid-February, the risk of a serious freeze has basically passed, which means your seed potatoes won't rot in cold, wet soil. Just as importantly, planting on Valentine's Day gives you enough time to grow and harvest before our brutal summer heat kicks in and shuts down tuber formation completely. See, potatoes form their tubers when soil temperatures stay between about 60 and 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Once our soil heats up past that range, which happens fast here, the plants just stop making potatoes. They'll keep the foliage growing, sure, but underground, nothing's happening. That's why we can't just follow the northern gardening advice of planting in early spring. Our early spring quickly becomes early summer, and by then it's game over for potato production. February 14th hits that sweet spot. You're planting into warming soil with mild days ahead, and you're racing to harvest before late May or early June when temperatures really start cooking. It's a tight window, but it works beautifully when you respect it. Now that you know when to plant, let's talk about what you're actually putting in the ground. And you might be surprised at where you can source your seed potatoes. Choosing your seed potatoes, the grocery store secret. Here's something most gardening guides won't tell you. Those potatoes sitting in your grocery store produce section, they work perfectly fine as seed potatoes. I know, you've probably heard you need to order certified seed potatoes from a catalog. And sure, you can do that if you want. But walk into any Publix, Walmart, or local grocery store in late January and early February, and you'll likely find bags of potatoes already sprouting right there on the shelf. Most shoppers see those sprouts as a sign of old produce. We see them as free head starts on our garden. Those sprouts mean the potatoes have broken dormancy and are ready to grow. As long as the potatoes themselves are firm and haven't gone soft or rotten, they're good to go. Just give each bag a quick check, squeeze them gently, look for any funky smells or mushy spots, and if they pass that test, toss them in your cart. Now I should mention that grocery store potatoes can potentially carry diseases. It's possible. I've never had them lab tested to know for sure, and I've never had a disease problem, but the risk exists. That's the trade-off for convenience and cost savings. In humid Florida, where fungal issues are always lurking anyway, I figure it's a reasonable gamble. Just keep your potato patch separate from the rest of your garden, and don't plant potatoes in the same spot year after year. If you'd rather play it safe and order certified seed potatoes, that's totally valid. Just make sure you choose fast maturing varieties. Caribe is an excellent choice. It matures quickly, which is crucial in a short growing window. Yukon Gold is another solid option that's easy to find and does well. Here's what to avoid. Russet potatoes. I know they're the classic baking potato, and they're what most people picture when they think potato, but they're terrible for Zone 9. Russets take too long to mature, and they're more susceptible to the diseases and rot issues we deal with in our humid climate. By the time a russet would be ready to harvest, our soil is already too hot, and you'll end up with disappointment instead of dinner. You might also see recommendations for varieties like La Chipper, Red La Soda, or La Rouge from UFIFAS extension guides. These are bred for commercial growers, and good luck finding them in quantities smaller than 500 pounds. Stick with what's actually available to home gardeners, and you'll save yourself a lot of frustration. So you've got your seed potatoes ready to go. Now let's talk about preparing your soil and getting these spuds in the ground properly. Potatoes aren't particularly fussy about soil, but they do have preferences. They want loose, well-draining soil with plenty of organic matter. Our sandy Florida soil actually drains great, sometimes too great, so your main job is building up that organic content. Mix in a generous amount of compost before planting. If you've got access to aged manure, that's even better. You want that soil fluffy enough that developing tubers can expand without resistance. When it comes to fertilizer, potatoes are moderate feeders. A balanced fertilizer works fine, but if you want to give them a boost specifically for root and tuber development, add some bone meal to your planting holes. Bone meal provides phosphorus and calcium, which promotes strong root systems and helps with tuber formation. Scratch it into the soil where your seed potatoes will sit, and you're giving them exactly what they need from day one. Cut your seed potatoes into chunks about the size of a golf ball, making sure each piece has at least one or two eyes, those little dimples where sprouts emerge. Let the cut pieces sit for a day or two in a cool, dry spot so the cut surfaces can callus over. This helps prevent rot once they're in the ground. You can also leave seed potatoes whole. Many gardeners have great results this way. Either way, plant them about 4 inches deep and roughly 12 inches apart in rows spaced about 2 to 3 feet apart. As the plants grow, you'll want to hill them up, basically mound soil up around the base of the stems. This serves two purposes. It gives developing tubers room to grow without pushing above the soil surface and turning green, and it helps keep the soil a bit cooler around the roots. You can hill them up 2 or 3 times during the growing season. Just be gentle and don't damage the plants while you're doing it. Watering is where a lot of people go wrong. Potatoes need constant moisture, especially during tuber formation, but they absolutely hate sitting in waterlogged soil. In our climate, that means watering deeply but infrequently. Let the top couple inches of soil dry out between waterings. If we get regular rain, you might not need to water much at all. If we're in a dry spell, water thoroughly once or twice a week rather than giving them a little sprinkle every day. If you want to help keep soil temperatures down during those warmer weeks before harvest, a light layer of straw or dry leaves as mulch can help. Just keep it thin. You don't want to create a dense moisture-holding mat that invites rot or bugs. A couple inches tops. Your potatoes are now in the ground and growing, but knowing when to harvest in our climate requires ditching some common advice from up north. Harvesting when dieback doesn't happen. Here's where Zone 9 potato growing gets weird compared to traditional advice. Every potato guide written for northern climates will tell you to wait until the plants die back naturally before harvesting. They say the vines will turn yellow, flop over, and that's your signal that the tubers are mature and ready to dig. That doesn't happen here, or rather, it doesn't happen on the schedule you need it to. In Zone 9, potato plants often stay green and mostly vigorous well past the point when tubers have stopped growing. If you wait for a dramatic dieback, you'll wait too long. What happens is the heat stops tuber formation, but the plant keeps chugging along above ground, pulling energy from those tubers you want to harvest. Worse, the potatoes might even start sprouting new growth while still attached to the mother plant, using up the stored starches and giving you smaller, less useful tubers. Instead, watch for your plants to start looking just slightly off. Maybe the leaves aren't quite as perky. Maybe the color is a touch less vibrant. It's subtle, but once you've got 10 to 12 weeks of planning under your belt and you're seeing these minor signs of stress, it's time to do some investigating. Gently dig around the base of one plant and see what's happening underground. If you find tubers that are a decent size, think anywhere from golf ball to softball, depending on variety, it's harvest time. For most varieties planted on Valentine's Day, you're looking at harvesting somewhere in late April through mid-May. Don't push it later than that thinking you'll get bigger potatoes. You won't. You'll just get stressed out plants and tubers that have started their own growing cycle. When you do harvest, use a garden fork rather than a shovel, if you must use a tool at all. Work from the outside of the plant inward and be careful not to spear your potatoes. Inevitably, you'll stab a few. It happens to everyone. But minimizing damage means your harvest stores better. Now, here's the Florida reality check. All those guys that tell you to cure potatoes in a cool, dry place and then store them in a cool, dark basement, yeah, we don't have those here. What we have is heat and humidity, which means your storage options are basically the refrigerator or eating them relatively quickly. I know the traditional advice says don't refrigerate potatoes because it converts their starches to sugars and changes the texture, and that's true. But in Florida, your choice is often between slightly sweet potatoes with a different texture or potatoes that sprout and rot in your pantry within a couple of weeks. The fridge wins that battle every time. Just know that refrigerated potatoes work better for mashing, roasting, or soups than they do for frying. Another option is to chop or shred them right away and then freeze them. I had great hash browns for a couple of months this way, and if the flavor was changed, it was for the better. The only reason the time was a couple of months was because I'd eaten them all at that point. You can also simply plan on using your harvest within a few weeks. Cook them, share them with neighbors, make a giant batch of potato salad for a cookout, whatever gets them used while it's still fresh. This is why growing potatoes in Zone 9 is really about harvesting fresh potatoes when nobody else can, not about stocking a root cellar for winter. Growing potatoes in Zone 9 isn't about fighting our climate. It's about working with it. Plant on Valentine's Day to catch that perfect window between freezes and heat. Choose fast maturing varieties, whether that's sprouting grocery store potatoes or certified Caribe or Yukon Gold. Build up your soil with compost and bone meal. Keep the moisture consistent without drowning your plants, and don't wait for a dieback that won't come when you need it to. The northern gardening world has this idea that potatoes are strictly a cool season crop for spring planting and fall harvesting. They're not wrong for their climates, but here in Zone 9, we've got our own rules, our own timing, and once you learn them, you'll be pulling pounds and pounds of homegrown potatoes out of your backyard while everyone else is still talking about how it can't be done. That's all for now. Subscribe to see more.